This is the King of Belgium. He's an old bastard, no one really cares about him. Here's the People's King, the one that people do care about. The one and only Wout van Aert. Wout van Aert is arguably the best Belgian cyclist in the world at the moment, performing exceptionally well both on the road and in Belgium's favourite winter pastime, the cyclocross. So let's see just who he is and how he came to be so incredibly good. Wout was born in Herentals on the 15th of September 1994 into a family with very little cycling connection, the exception being a Dutch cousin of his father, Jos van Aert, who rode as a professional during the 80s and 90s. He even rode 6 Grand Tours, finishing as high as second once in a Tour de France time trial. Following a short time studying at college in the nearby Geel, Van Aert seemingly also caught this cycling bug. This bug carried him to the title of Athlete of the Year in Belgium, an immeasurable success. Success largely down to Van Aert being a physical monster. Wout is strong, very strong, both mentally and physically. This strength has always been his superpower, excelling when the going gets really tough, producing an incredible amount of seated power. This strength is most evident in the early years among the elite riders, where the battles between Wout and Mathieu van der Poel were at their peak. Where Van der Poel possesses incredible technique and flair, Van Aert was the opposite, being stronger of the two, more powerful. He was the Ronaldo to Van der Poel's Messi, if you will. Whilst nowadays that difference is smaller and the two are fairly similar, when the road gets muddy, such as in Dendermonde last year, it is Wout who comes out on top fairly convincingly. Van Aert is also mentally incredibly strong, and has been from a fairly young age. When faced with hardship, Van Aert simply does not give up. He's got this ability to stay really calm as well. The World Championships in Zolder 2016 illustrate this point very well. When faced with an impossible situation involving both himself and Van der Poel, where Van der Poel became agitated and panicky, gave up and ended up finishing 5th on the day, Van Aert stayed calm, and in the end it was Wout who was able to come all the way back to the front and become world champion that year. That world title for Wout, of course, had quite a lot of build-up before it, and Wout van Aert wasn't always as strong as he was then. His first season amongst the juniors was largely anonymous, with the young Belgian riding for cyclocross team Telenet Fidea, nowadays Baloise Trek, not claiming any victories, his best finish being a 5th place in Tervuren. His breakthrough at junior level would come the year after, in 2011-12, where he would be the only rider to defeat Mathieu van der Poel at any point during the season. He took victory at the Super Prestige in Ruddervoorde. He would go on to finish second at both the Belgian Championships and the Worlds, respectively behind Daan Soete and Mathieu van der Poel. The following year, Van Aert moved up to the under-23 category. He finished in the top 10 of every race he entered, apart from the World Cup in Hoge Heide, where he took 13th. Van Aert's first win at this level was the under-23 Super Prestige in Zonhoven. He would also win in Gavere, Gieten and Oostmalle, as well as take bronze at the under-23 Worlds in Louisville. In the 2013-14 season, Van Aert kept his growth up, being a constant podium fixture. In a strong period in November, Wout took his first elite podium in only his 4th elite race, finishing second at the Jaarmarkt course in Niel. He would then go on to win the under-23 races in Hasselt and Gavere, later adding Essen, Namur, Loenhout and Baal to his under-23 palmares. His next victory would be his first one with the elites. In Oortegem, Van Aert took his maiden victory. He beat Klaas van Toonout and Rob Peters by almost 40 seconds. Later this month at the World Championships in Hoge Heide, Van Aert would become world champion for the first time, taking the under-23 world title. By 2014-15 it was becoming apparent that Wout, as well as Mathieu, was too good for the under-23 category. After a solid start to the season, including victory at the Super Prestige Gieten, Van Aert truly made his breakthrough, taking victory at the Koppenberg Cross, beating the king of the Koppenberg Sven Nys to the line in a totally not controversial sprint. Following on from this came an under-23 European title, his first elite World Cup win in Koksijde, and a bucket load of victories in both under-23 and elite categories. By the season end, Wout was officially an elite rider, finishing 3rd at the Belgian Nationals, 2nd at the Worlds behind Van der Poel, and somehow winning the overall of the Bepos Bank Trophy. Now that Wout was big time, he truly showed it. In 2015-16 he won his opening 5 crosses in a season that saw him become the second rider in history to complete a Grand Slam. Van Aert dominated, defending his B-Post title but adding the overall of the Super Prestige, the World Cup, becoming national champion for the first time, and in Zolder becoming world champion for the first time. This saw him join Sven Nys as the only riders to have accomplished this feat. Van Aert however failed to become European champion, finishing second behind Lars van der Haar. This title was not available during the season when Nys achieved his slam. Van Aert would continue to impress on the road in 2016 as well, beating former world champion Tony Martin in a time trial during the Tour of Belgium to claim his first elite victory. He would continue to rack up impressive performances before returning to cyclocross with 4 straight wins. Van Aert would defend his World Cup and win the now DVV Trophy for the 3rd year running. He would however finish second in the Super Prestige. Van Aert also successfully defended both his Belgian and world titles. The latter he did with his infamous green tyres in Bellevaux. The 17-18 season was by Van Aert's standards somewhat underwhelming, taking only 9 victories and being bested by Van der Poel for much of the year. Van Aert however did defend his national title for the 3rd year running and had the last laugh at the Worlds, completing a 3-peat of world titles. During this season he failed to win any of the major competitions as Van der Poel ran riot in all 3. During the 2018 road season, Van Aert broke through with a strong performance in Omloop and Nieuwsblad before shocking in a hellish Strade Bianche. Van Aert attacked with Romain Bardet to form the most bizarre breakaway I've ever watched. The two were eventually joined by Tiesj Benoot, and Van Aert would in the end finish 3rd place on his debut in the race. Van Aert would also finish in the top 10 of the Tour of Flanders and take bronze at the European Championships behind Matteo Trentin and Mathieu van der Poel. By 2018-19 Van Aert had shifted focus to the road, whilst Van der Poel was still almost a full-time crosser. This showed as Van Aert was second best on almost every occasion. His only major win was the World Cup in Pontchâteau. Van Aert would lose his Belgian title to Toon Aerts and was bested in Bourgense by Mathieu van der Poel, losing the rainbow bands for the first time since 2016. Now riding for Team Jumbo-Visma, Van Aert started to bloom on the road, finishing 3rd again at Strade, 2nd at the E3-prijs and winning 2 stages of the Dauphiné. Van Aert made his Tour de France debut and saw teammate Mike Teunissen win stage 1, before his team won the stage 2 team time trial, allowing him to wear the white jersey for the best young rider in the race. On stage 10 Van Aert survived crosswinds to take his first Tour de France stage win, beating Elia Viviani in a slightly reduced bunch sprint. But 4 days later, during an individual time trial in Pau, Van Aert would crash, injuring his right leg badly after hitting a barrier. This ended his road season and had a big impact on his coming cross season. Wout would return in Loenhout, where he immediately finished 5th, proving that he indeed still had it. By the World Championships he'd improved to a 4th place in Dubendorf, his worst ever finish with the elites, before winning a first race back post-injury at the Croatecross in Lille, the birthplace of both of his parents. In 2020 and 2021 Van Aert would continue to impress. Winning the first race of a Covid-reduced road season, he finally took victory in Strade Bianche. A week later he would also win a first monument, beating Julian Alaphilippe to win Milan-San Remo. Wout would also win 2 more tour stages, drop Egan Bernal on a horse category climb, and take 2 silver medals at the Road Worlds. He also finished 2nd in the Tour of Flanders, behind of course Mathieu van der Poel, losing out by millimetres. In a shortened cross season Van Aert impressed again, winning in Herentals, Dendermonde, Mol and Overijse, taking the Belgian national title in Meulenbeke and winning the World Cup overall. He would finish 2nd at the Worlds behind Van der Poel however. In the past year Van Aert has won Gent-Wevelgem and the Amstel Gold Race. He also became Belgian champion on the road, before in a bizarre Tour de France he won 3 stages. He won a mountain stage with a double ascent of the mythical Mont Ventoux, he won the final time trial and the bunch sprint on the Champs-Élysées, proving he is arguably the best all-round cyclist in the world. Wout also took Olympic silver in the road race and another TT silver medal at the Worlds in Leuven. Wout's return to cross was only a few weeks ago, and he did it by obliterating anybody in his way in Boom, winning comfortably. He then was the only rider to contest a double weekend of Essen and Val d'Isole. He won both races anyway, proving he is arguably in the best shape he's been in years. Van Aert has victories aplenty, both on the road and in cross. A career total of 72 cross victories puts him second behind Mathieu on a list of active riders with the most cross victories. Amongst these wins are 12 World Cups, 8 Super Prestiges and 17 rounds of the X3O Trophy. Van Aert also holds 1 Super Prestige overall title and 3 each in the World Cup and the X3O Trophy. Of course, Van Aert can also count on 4 Belgian titles and 3 world titles. I'm sure he'll add to these wins in the near future. The same can be said for his road palmarès. With 6 tour stages and a monument, I'm sure he'll be looking to improve further and add to already impressive lists. Wout has made no secret of the fact that he's riding cross pretty much entirely because he loves it. He's not made a big goal of it this season. His targets are on the road, mostly in the classic season, targeting Ronde and Paris-Roubaix. Due to this, it's not yet known if Wout will actually compete in the World Championships come the end of January, his team Jumbo-Visma stating that Wout will only compete if he believes he can win. Judging by his form so far, I think he stands a good chance, so I think we might see him there, but I don't want to pretend that I know that for sure, of course. What we do know is that Wout will compete in all of the Kerstperiode races: Zolder, Loenhout, Baal, Hulst and Herentals. Over the coming 2 weeks we should get more clarity on what Wout's form is like, how good he is, and thus what he will be doing post Herentals. Hopefully we'll see Wout on the start line at Fayetteville, because if the weather goes his way, chances are that a 4th world title could be heading the way of Belgium's greatest athlete,